and they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there.
All right, Aflac. All right. You guys can have a seat. I am so excited to be here. Before I go any further, I want you guys to give Aflac a round of applause because they have brought to you an award-winning Hall of Fame motivational speaker. Let's give them a round of applause. And before I go any further, I am not Brad Knox. You hear what I'm saying? Now, before we get started, any NBA fans in the house, raise your hand if you're an NBA fan. Okay, all right, good. So raise your hand if you've seen all my commercials. Raise your hand if you've seen all my highlights on Sports Center. Raise your hand if you've never heard of me before in your life as an NBA ball player. Raise your hand. You know what? You suck. Okay, I get it. I was not a Hall of Fame basketball player. I was not a superstar. I get it, and I know you never heard of me. But the truth is, I've never heard of you either. But what I want to do today is tell you my story, because the reality is that I got a chance to play at the highest level of basketball. Now, I know when we talk about sports, we always talk about the superstars. But I want to give you a story so you understand the journey of a person making it to the pinnacle of their industry that did not become a superstar, but made it. Here's my truth. My mom and dad were teachers, and I grew up on the south side of Chicago. And my mother was a kindergarten teacher. And every day we left the house, you know what my mama would say? Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Just get along with people. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Just get along with people. Hey, if you want to make more money, raise your hand and say yes. Yes. You guys can do better than that. Raise your hand and say yes. Yes. You know what I learned a long, long time ago? That it's hard to say no to someone who's likable. Here's the truth. Some people brighten up a room when they enter. Some people brighten up a room when they leave. Have you ever thought about what made Oprah a billionaire? Oprah used to be a journalist. And then she made up her mind to get on TV, and Oprah got into the people business, and Oprah convinced 30 million women she was their best friend. Oprah is a likability pimp. Have you ever thought about how Charles Barkley can say anything and get away with it? I was watching the game one night, and he told Kenny Smith, I ought to come over there and smack the black off of you. On national TV. And we laughed. You try that tomorrow and see what happens. Before you go to bed, I promise you, cut on any network, any TV station, and before you fall asleep, you're gonna see Shaquille O'Neal endorsing somebody's product. Am I right or wrong? Here's what I learned a long time ago. I'm gonna talk about my daddy, but my mom was the one who made me rich. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Just get along with people. The likability factor is the best kept secret in sales. Every day I left the house, my mama would say those magic words. My daddy was different. My daddy was old school, ball player, educated, high school principal. Every day we left the house, he had a slightly different message. This was his message. Go get it, son, go get it. Go get it, son. Go get it. My family had two core values. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Go get it, son, go get it. Be sweet, baby. Be sweet. Go get it, son, go get it. Be sweet. 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 Go get it. Those two core values helped me make it to the NBA. And now I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, only 200 alive in the world. That was a weak hand clap, but I'll take it. But in my house, when your parents are teachers, report card day is a big day. You guys agree? My brother and sister would skip all the way home. Couldn't wait to show mom and dad their grades. Not me. I would walk home real slow. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Now, I know we live in the timeout generation. You guys been reading books and watching TV, and you want to give your kids a time out. My mom and dad were country folks. And my daddy gave timeouts. His timeouts were different. He would grab his favorite leather belt, and he would spank me until he got tired. Then my dad would take a timeout. If you grew up like that, say, uh-huh. But I remember report card day. My sister would slide her grades across the table. Great job, Jamea. Great job, Jamea. My brother would slide his grades across the table. Great job, Lewis. Okay, Walter. Let us take a look. It got so bad one time, I started crying as I slid my grades across. And my mama said, oh, baby, are they that bad? She took a look and said, but she said something in that moment that touched my heart. She said, baby, if the teacher gives out A's, you know you can get one. I mean, I never forgot that moment. Because one, I felt like the weak link in the family. I don't know about you, but I hate to let my mama down. I don't know about you, but I hated to get in trouble. And for the first time in my life, I was the weak link on my team. Now, I was a straight A student in baseball. I was named after my uncle. He was a Major League Baseball player. He hit 21 home runs for the Cleveland Indians. I was straight A in baseball. I set a playoff record one day in Chicago. I struck out 17 in a playoff game, and there's only 21 outs. Fastball, chump. You can't hit what you can't see. I was a straight A student in football. I played tight end. I would come to the huddle. If I touch it, I'll catch it. I would tell the quarterback, throw it anywhere near me. If I touch it, I'll catch it. Straight A student in football. When I played basketball in Chicago, the parents would yell out, he's too old. Check his birth certificate. That kid is not 12. Oh, I was straight A student in baseball, basketball, and football. So in that moment, my mom and dad had a parent-teacher conference in the house. You know when your parents are teachers, they can do a parent-teacher conference at home? And my daddy was a high school principal in the hood. My daddy was a high school principal on the west side of Chicago. And I heard my daddy say to my mama, give him to me, baby. Give him to me. No, Willie, that's my baby. Give him to me, baby. Give him to me. No, Willie, you got real thugs at your high school. Give him to me, baby. Give him to me. After, like, you know what I realized a long time ago? Smart companies are training and development organizations masquerading as an insurance company. In fact, aren't families training and development organizations masquerading as a family? Even the Bible says, train up a child. If you don't remember anything else from what I say today, if you're a mama, if you're a daddy, you are the head trainer of your family. Good families are training and development organizations, but so are companies. When I was getting bad grades, I remember teachers telling me, if you don't get your act together, you're going to be somewhere flipping. What did McDonald's say? Give them to me. My daddy convinced my mama, give him to me. Every day on the way to school was a coaching session. Not with my daddy, but with my high school principal. My biggest disappointment when I left sports and got into business, I saw my coaches as leaders, and their job was to make me better. Their job was to help me reach my potential. When I left sports and got into the business world, I began to listen to executives say things like this: oh, he's an idiot. Oh, he won't get it. I was doing a program for U.S. Bank, and I met a young man in the hallway, and he impressed me because I'm always looking for the C student full of potential. I'm always looking for the C student full of potential. I am always looking for that C student full of potential because most high school have programs for the A students. Am I right or wrong? National Honor Society, student government. We have programs for the bad kids. Truancy officer, detention, principal's office. The biggest demographic at your local high school is the C student. The biggest demographic in most companies are the C students. Leaders, I'm talking to you right now. Your legacy is based on your ability to transform a C student. Who doesn't want to recruit a superstar? Great coaches understand this. My job is to recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Recruit, develop, and retain top talent. Most leaders got it twisted. They always want more out of their people. But a great leader understands my job is to be a coach, and my people need more out of me. The number one reason my daddy had me transferred to his high school, because he realized that my son needs more out of me. For 2 years was a coaching session. You're just as smart as your brother and sister. Your value system is screwed up. This family produces student athletes. You're just as smart as your brother and sister. Your value system is screwed up. This family produces student athletes. You are just as smart as your brother and sister. But your value system is screwed up. This family produces student athletes. Great coaches know how to build rapport. Great coaches know how to build confidence. The biggest mistake you can make as a leader, most leaders make this mistake. They go to the truth first, but if you have not built rapport, if you not build confidence, the truth sounds like criticism. You're just as smart as your brother and sister. But the truth is your value system is screwed up. This family produces student athletes. My wife and I founded the company 22 years ago, and our mission is to move your middle. Our mission is to transform your average performer into a superstar. For 2 years, my daddy convinced me that I was just as smart as my brother and sister. And my truth was, I didn't believe that. I went to one of these top academic high schools. Michelle Obama went to this school. Jesse Jackson kids went to this school. And I was convinced that every single kid in the building was smarter than me. So I was defeated from the start. But my coach was smart. He knew the first thing he had to do was build my confidence. You are just as smart as your brother and sister. Your value system is screwed up. This family produces student athletes. I turned a 2.1 into a 2.9. I remember one day we played the number one team in the country. They had the number one player in the country, and we beat them. It was a Sunday afternoon. When I got back to high school on Monday morning, my teammates and classmates were going crazy, but I was focused because I'm a student athlete. And I was on my way to see my counselor. Everybody was, great game, great game, great game. That game is over. I'm at school now. I went to my counselor's office. I said, hey, I have a 2.9. What do I need to do to get a 3.0? She said, even if you get all A's, you're doing great now. But the best you can do is a 2.9. After that moment, a student was born. It was the first time I was pissed off about my GPA. It was the first time in my life I was pissed off about school. I mean, I would be pissed off if I struck out. I would be pissed off if I missed a free throw. I would be pissed off if I missed a block. But for the first time in my life, I was pissed off about school. See, I'm assuming Affleck gives trophies and awards. Am I right or wrong? See, if they don't call your name, you should be pissed off. If they don't call your name, you should be angry. If they don't call your name, you should get on a mission. Because I'm telling you, if Affleck gives out A's, I know you can get one. I became one of the top basketball players in the country. I got recruited coast to coast. I settled on the University of Minnesota. But my freshman year, I don't play a lick. I'm sitting there on the bench. But these benches were different. They were made of cushion. And in high school, you got water, but in college, you got Gatorade. and the cheerleaders were right there 10 feet away. Oh, I got nice and comfortable. Oh, I got real comfortable. I learned in life you have to be careful not to get comfortable in a place you don't want to be. Is it possible you got comfortable in a place you don't want to be? I mean, did you let your marriage get comfortable, but it's not where you want to be? Did you let your body get comfortable, but it's not where you want your body to be? Have you let your checking account and your whole life that you dreamt about when you were a little boy, when you were a little girl, just like me? Have you accepted your life and gotten comfortable, even though you're meant for more? I got real comfortable. I'll just go to school. I mean, I'm a Division I athlete, man. Everybody doesn't play in the NBA. I'll just go to school, graduate, and get a good job. And after my freshman year, my daddy called me on the phone. It wasn't my high school principal. This was my daddy. He said, son, you didn't play. Why not? I said, politics, Daddy. It's political. Son, how does your coach get paid? Dad, he gets paid to win. He says, okay, son, if your coach gets paid to win, won't he play the players that give him the best chance to win? Dad, is mom home? On that ride to high school, my high school principal made me write down my life goals. And when I was 16 years old, in that car ride to school, I told my high school principal I'm gonna graduate college in 4 years. I'm gonna play in the NBA, and I'm gonna make more money in business than I did in sports. Sometimes that C student will come back if I let it. Sometimes that C student will try to creep back into my mindset. But thank God for a high school principal who knew how to coach. Thank God for a father who knew how to connect with his son. You told me you're gonna graduate in 4 years. You told me you're gonna play in the NBA. And you told me you're gonna make more money in business than you did in sports. Go back and do exactly what you said you were gonna do. Go get it, son. Go get it. You guys remember the day you did your interview with Aflac? You guys remember that day? You went and got highlights in your hair and French tip fingernails, and you went and ironed your shirt, and your wife said to you, you must really want that job because you never iron your shirt. You sat there in front of Andy and the team, and you said all the right things. Oh, yeah, I love insurance, yeah. I love people. I love Nick Saban, I love Deion, I love ducks. Can I ask you a question? Are you doing everything you said you're going to do? The day that Aflac said yes? Are you doing everything you said you're going to do the day you walked down that aisle in that pretty white dress? You sat there and you gave vows. And every once in a while, I want to say, take that white dress off. I went to high school with you. But we sat there and gave our vows. But a great coach is going to hold you accountable. A great coach is going to remind you of what you said you're going to do. They're not going to add anything to it. They're not going to take anything away. So that's how I became an NBA ball player. First ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks to start opening night. You guys know I never started on my college basketball team, but I still made it to the NBA. How? Mindset. Even though I flunked out of my first high school. Now I'm considered a thought leader. I sit on corporate boards. Our book publisher says, Walter, Your books are so good. We're going to do your next 3 books. How does an average ball player make it to the pinnacle? How does an average student become a thought leader? How are you going to live your best life? I'm going to tell you how. The mindset. The average person has 70,000 thoughts a day, and 70% are negative. I'm gonna say it one more time so it can suck in. The average person has 70,000 thoughts a day, and 70% are negative, which means you're in a war. Every day you wake up, you're in a war. You're not only in a war, your husband's in a war, your kids are in a war. Everyone around us have 70,000 thoughts a day, but 70% are negative. The only way you can win and win big is by developing the shark mindset. Sharks are peak performers. I mean, think about it. If you take your family to the beach, there's only one fish in that water you worry about. Am I right or wrong? You don't tell your kids, watch out, there's a yellow snapper gaining on you. Sharks are the apex predator of the ocean because of how they move. As a student, my daddy taught me how to move different. As a college basketball player, my college basketball taught me how to move different. I would go into his office and say, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He would say, son, you can't run, you can't jump, you can't dribble, you can't shoot, and you can't rebound, son. I know I got weaknesses, Coach, I know. But next year, I'm going to be your most improved player. Because I learned in high school, I'm in control. I learned in high school I can have what I want. I learned in high school that no one can stop me but me. Aflac, I'm here to tell you, we built a Hall of Fame motivational speaking business, and my very first keynote was no one can stop you but you. Every year I would have that conversation with my coach. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? Every year he voted me most improved player. And every year I got shorter and shorter. The list got shorter and shorter until I became an NBA ball player. When's the last time you went to your sales leader and just asked a simple question, what do I need to do to get bigger, stronger, and faster? What do I need to do to get trophies? Most people are going to these meetings defensive. Most people are going to these meetings like, oh, I wonder what he's... Look, if you give me some good feedback, you just increase my value. Sharks are predators. They run that ocean. They wake up every morning and wreck stuff because they move differently and they move better than every other fish in the ocean. The only way I made it to the NBA, I had to master the fundamentals of basketball. And it took me 15 years to become. In 15 years, I had to learn how to dribble like an NBA ball player. I had to learn how to shoot like an NBA ball player. I had to transform my body to look like an NBA ball player. I knew I had no chance of making it to the top if I don't master the fundamentals. If you think about it, when you start something, we all start as an amateur, would you guys agree? One day you took an insurance test, you passed it, and you got an appointment with Aflac. Does that make sense? But when you began, what were you? An amateur. No different than when I was 8 years old, I was an amateur basketball player. My brother got a basketball at the same time as me. But in 15 years, I became an expert. And that's when I made it to the NBA. I can't dare call myself a master. Why? Because there's a guy named Michael Jordan out here. There's a guy named LeBron out here, Dr. J, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I would be disrespectful to claim I mastered basketball when I know better. Does that make sense? So as a leader, where do you fall in this continuum? As an insurance agent, where do you fall in this continuum? Most people stop at skilled. Sometimes you win a trophy, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you hit your numbers, sometimes you don't. An expert is always in high demand because they have almost mastered everything. But I'm here to tell you there's another category right slightly to the left. I never achieved it, but I saw it. Affleck, let me make a statement, and I want you to never forget it. Kingdoms rise and fall all the time. Kingdoms rise and fall all the time. Don't you assume that your kingdom's always going to be on top. Some people in business think they got a kingdom because they can take care of their family and one cousin. I mean, Radio Shack had a kingdom. What happened? BlackBerry had a kingdom. What happened? Growing up, didn't our parents have a can of Folgers and Maxwell House in the house? You guys grew up with that? I mean, every house in America had that red or that blue can in their house. Am I right or wrong? How in the hell did they lose the coffee game? I mean, think about it. How do you lose the coffee game? You own coffee from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and all of a sudden, Starbucks got on the scene. And do we even have those cans in the house anymore? Kingdoms rise and fall all the time. Don't ever assume that your kingdom's gonna last forever. It took me 15 years to make it to the NBA. And it took me 7 seconds to get cut. We're on the road playing the Dallas Mavericks, and Jerry Sloan called me over. And I said, hey, coach, what's going on? Hey, check with the trainer. He has your plane ticket. We're going in a different direction. And he walked away. It took me 15 years. And in 7 seconds, it was over. I remember that verbatim. Check with the trainer. He has your plane ticket. We're going in a different direction. That was it. I went back home, and my wife said, what happened? I got cut. It's over. That 8-year-old boy died. And I cried in my wife's arms like a baby. But I remember being around John Stockton. Let me tell you something. John Stockton didn't retire because he got too old. He retired because they wouldn't let him wear those Daisy Duke shorts anymore. Stockton would go to a chiropractor 4 times a day on game day. The chiropractor, Craig Bueller, well, hey, Walter, it's paid for. Can I adjust you? You know what I would say, Affleck? I'm good. I'm good. John Stockton played 19 years. I played 3. But for some reason, I was hard-headed. For some reason, I didn't commit. For some reason, I wasn't willing to give it all. I gave him the answer, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. That C student came back. Yeah, I was good. But I was around greatness. Carmelo would lift weights every single day. Hey, young fella, come get a lift. I'm good. Carmelo had the greatest body of all time in the NBA. I was around great Hall of Fame ball players. They were giving me the keys to the kingdom. I'm in the war. Yeah, I made it to the NBA, but I was average. They gave me the keys to the kingdom, but my mindset hurt me again. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I cried in my wife's arms. They said, babe, I'm gonna be great at something. I don't know what. But I'm gonna be great at something. Let me tell you something. I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. There's not many people in the world that can do what I do. I'm an expert, but I can't call myself a master because there's a guy named Tony Robbins out here. I can't call myself a master because there's a guy named John Maxwell out here. But I learned that being good is dangerous. I learned that going for average can hurt me. And I made a commitment to my wife. I'm gonna be great, baby. It's something, I'm gonna be great. I asked about all the motivational speakers. I got all their videos, and I watched these videos. I watched the highlights. I called my wife into the office. I said, babe, we got good news. She goes, what? Remember I told my dad I'm gonna make more money in business than we did in sports? I think we can do real good in this motivational speaking business. Because, baby, I couldn't do what Michael Jordan could do. I just couldn't do what Magic Johnson could do. But I just watched Les Brown. I can do what he can do. I just watched Zig Ziglar. And I can do what he can do. God has given me one more chance. I'm going for it, baby. But this time, I'm not gonna get in my own way. 2 weeks ago, I did a big program for a tire distributor. And I went through the same program talking about John Maxwell and Tony Robbins. I had no idea they had John Maxwell in the previous year in that same keynote slot. When I came off the stage, I went backstage, and the client was so happy. He said, Walter, you are unbelievable. But you know we had John Maxwell last year? You know, I'm the youngest in my family. You know how you get that uh-oh? He said, Walter, we were back here talking, man, and honestly, we thought you were better. And I went home and told my wife, I said, look, we're gonna celebrate just a little bit. But we can't get too relaxed. We can't get too comfortable. We can't stop until our name, until our brand is in that same conversation. I don't know what your numbers are. You 1099 people, I don't know what your numbers are. You W2 people, Andy explaining it to me. I still don't get it, but you know who you are. I had a second Zoom call. I was like, man, I still don't get it. But you know who you are. I don't know where you fall on this continuum, but you better not be good. Some of you guys have that same mindset. You're in that war just like me. You are paying your bills. Your kids are at a country club. You might even have a second house, but you better be careful. Took me 15 years to build my NBA career. It took me 7 seconds to lose it. You don't have a freaking kingdom. You got a whole lot more work to do. And you should not quit until everyone at Aflac knows your name. You should not quit until everyone at the $1 Million Round Table knows your name. You should not relent until everywhere you go in the insurance industry, they stand up and give you a standing ovation when you walk into the building. When I made it to the NBA, let me tell you something about 3 teams. My rookie year, I played for the Dallas Mavericks. We were the second worst team in the history of the NBA. When I signed my contract, the GM says, Walter, we're gonna lose, and we're gonna lose a lot. Guess what happened? We lost, and we lost a lot. When the season ended, my agent called me and says, Walter, I got good news, man. We heard from the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls. I said, what? You heard from the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls, 2 perennial playoff teams, and 1 was a champion. So my agent says, Walter, you're from Chicago. You're going to be in Chicago in the offseason. Why don't you go and work out with the Bulls until I figure this out? I was like, man, wouldn't that be crazy if I went from the worst team to a champion? The first day I walked into the Chicago Bulls practice facility, the lights were brighter. And Phil Jackson, the legendary coach, sales leaders, Phil Jackson, the legendary coach, sales leaders, Phil Jackson, the legendary coach, came from the back of the building and he says, hey, when Mike shows up, nobody leaves early. When Mike shows up, we all play defense. When Mike shows up, 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 when Mike shows up. I went back to the hotel like, whoa! In 5 days, the championship culture was unbelievable. And I realize now that Phil Jackson was onboarding us. And my agent called me 5 days later. He says, hey, I got good news. We got the deal done. Pack your bags. We're going to Salt Lake City. But Mike hasn't shown up yet. For a little bit more money, I walked away from an opportunity to play for a champ. Act Flack, I don't know where your head is right now. But if you play for a champ right now, raise your hand and say yes. I'm gonna ask that question one more time because you can do better than that. If you play for a champ right now called Act Flack, raise your hand and say yes. Whoa! Can I ask you a question? What happens when you show up? Here's my truth. Karl Malone and John Stockton were impact players. On cut day, they had nothing to worry about because they had major impact. Guys like me who bounce around the NBA, you walked around scared and nervous all the time because you knew at any moment that axe could fall. And my truth is, my second NBA game, I had 27 points. So I knew I had what it took. I knew I was good enough. But boy, is this C student in the war. So one day I go fishing, and I caught a sucker fish. And I asked the captain, man, how does this little weak fish make it in the ocean? He says, Walter, that's a sucker fish, and it's waiting for a shark to come by. And when the shark comes by, the sucker fish connects to the shark, and they work in tandem. It's a symbiotic relationship. Sharks need suckerfish, and suckerfish need shark. I dropped my fishing pole, and that explained my whole life. I was a suckerfish, flailing in the ocean, until my shark came by. I was sitting on the college bench until my shark came by. I've been married for 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. My family are preachers and teachers. But my wife comes from entrepreneurs. When we got married, she worked for Dr. Pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? When we had no money coming in, my wife became the shark. And I became the suckerfish. Honey, what's a brand? What's the difference between advertising and marketing? I knew pick and roll. I knew to follow through on a jump shot. But I knew nothing about business. in your life, sometimes you're gonna be the shark, and sometimes you gotta be the suckerfish. This is the champion's roadmap we take all of our clients through. You cannot be a champion without an audacious goal. It is impossible for you to be a champion without an audacious goal. When I played for the Utah Jazz, we played hard, we had strategy, but we did not have an audacious goal. When I was in Chicago, it was clear. Anything less than a championship is a disappointing season. Can I ask you, Affleck, what is your audacious goal? I'm from Chicago, I'm gonna say it a little differently. Man, you gotta have a gangster goal. Gangsta. If you don't know what that means, the next time you see prime time, ask him. Because you cannot be a champion without an audacious goal. So there's a difference between winners and losers, and most people are comfortable there. But Affleck, your kingdom is strong. But I want everyone in the building to understand our leaders got to be coaches. If you agree with me, raise your hand and say yes. Yes. Coaches, your job is to recruit, develop, and retain top talent, and you pay close attention to your C students. If you get a stud or a studette, you just recruited right. But your legacy as a leader is based on what you can do with your C students. It's always the largest demographic in any organization. If you guys have an audacious goal and you keep it in front of you, I promise you one thing, it's just a matter of time before your kingdom gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm gonna show you one more thing, then I'm out of here. You guys had a good time so far? Yeah. We created a video called The Shark Mindset, and man, it's over 4 million views. If you get bored, go to YouTube and watch it again. We had an NFL team watch it. They had me in front of their team within 10 days. They had a 3-36 record. Now they're a playoff team. What happened? They got their mindset right. 70,000 thoughts a day, 70% are negative. I don't care if you're a pro athlete. I don't care if you're an insurance agent. I don't care if you're a mom. It don't matter what you do. If you don't get your mind right, you're gonna cripple yourself. We're all in a war. The shark mindset helped me transform my life, because when I caught that suckerfish, it explained everything to me. So right now I have a business coach, and I need my coach to push me. I need my coach to drive me. When I wrote Swim, I got mentored by a guy named Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul. He heard me speak and he was backstage. He says, Walter, you are so talented. I can listen to you all day, but you gotta write this book about the shark, the suckerfish, and the parasite. Andy, I asked him one question. This is Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for Your Soul. I said, Mark, will you be my mentor? He goes, absolutely. I said, well, you just met a 6'5", 280-pound black suckerfish. Listen, I'm all out of time. I am all out of time, but I want to give you one more thing and I'm out of here. Is that fair? I wanted to teach you about the shark and the suckerfish and all the benefits of it, and I'm really out of time. I only have 40 minutes today, but I want to share one more thing with you, and then I'm out of here. And this clicker is working real slow. The parasite, HR know what I'm talking about. All they do is take. They don't care about the culture. They don't care about results. They don't care about families. Let me tell you something. Beware of parasites. There's 3 kinds of people in this world. There's sharks and there's suckerfish. And parasites, that's who kills the shark. And the suckerfish connects to the shark, and they have a symbiotic relationship. The shark's job is to take you places you can't take yourself. That's what all my coaches did for me. And the suckerfish's job is to learn, to grow, develop, and reach your potential. So sometimes in life you're the shark, and sometimes you're the suckerfish, but don't ever be the parasite. The Sacred 6 can help your mindset. You know sharks never stop moving forward or they die. Sharks are relentless. You know sharks only look up, they never look down. Sharks don't get distracted. Sharks don't deal with petty. You know that sharks are curious and always learning. Leaders are readers. Sharks always respect their environment and recognize other sharks. My biggest regret, I can't get back. I feel like I didn't take full advantage of my MBA opportunity. And I cannot get that back. When that door shut, it was shut. And so for the rest of my life, I will always make sure I take full advantage of every opportunity I get. You guys know the sharks are made of cartilage? You guys know that? Which means they know when to pivot, they know when to change, and they know when to shift. Based on my message today, anybody need to make some changes today? Anybody need to make some shifts today? We got any leaders who believe they need to be better coaches? We have any C students who've gotten comfortable? If I said anything today that connected with you, but finally sharks understand this, that they need their suckerfish. The bigger the shark, the more suckerfish they need. So as you grow your business, you might be the head of your agency. But let me tell you something. Nick Saban understands that. I add value to you first, and then you add value to me. Great coaches understand that. So if you're going to be a great leader, you got to change your mindset. It's not that you need more out of your people. I'm going to give you 90 days and, oh man, shut up with all that. I'm going to put you on a PIP, performance improvement plan. You ever had an idiot for a boss? Raise your hand. Every now and then, we need to give a performance improvement plan to our bosses. Am I right or wrong? Finally, I want to give you an opportunity. I just got a note to wrap up. I'm sorry. You guys ran late yesterday. I thought a couple of minutes wouldn't hurt. Sorry. You've been eating through COVID. You know how to use a QR code. If you can do me one favor, and I got a free giveaway for you. Let me know how you enjoyed this program today. Because I'm going to see my mama Sunday. And we lost my dad to prostate cancer. And because of insurance, my mama's living good. And I know you guys offer cancer insurance. Give yourself a round of applause. And I told my mama, we're going to do AFLAC in Atlanta. I know she's going to ask me, well, Walter, how'd it go? And I want to say, Mama, I think I got it. If you had a good time today, raise your hand and say yes. If you learned some stuff today, raise your hand and say yes. Just like my mom and daddy said, be sweet, baby. Be sweet. And go get it, AFLAC. Go get it.
All I do is win.